produced by Graham Gouldman. He was, great bands like the Mindbenders and 10cc and Phone Riders for Yardbirds. And he brought Joey up out to the UK. I went with Joey. He did the vocals in the UK. Now this is his first album cover. The Ramones were not on the cover. Now why? Well, Gary Kerfitz wanted a piece of the merchandising. And it was a very big, there's a lot of money in the merchandise with the t-shirts going and all that. The band refused to give him any money. So he said, from now on, I'm going to pick some of the covers. So he picks this artist, Guy Duke from Boston, buys the painting, figured it'd be worth some money after the album comes out. Psychotherapy. By the way, it's a song, the video was banned by MTV because they thought it was too violent. This guy jumps up at the desk and kicks somebody in the head. At that time, they banned the video. MTV was a pain in the ass. We used to do a lot of stuff for MTV. And they refused to play the Ramones a lot, and they banned the video. The album was produced by Richard Cordell and Glenn Klapkin. And Richard was a famous songwriter. He wrote Money Money, and I Think We're Alone Now, for Tommy James and the Chantels. This is the first album cover shot by the great George DuBose. And it was done in a beat train at 57th Street and 6th Avenue, where the train was stopped for a while with the doors open, sit there. So George brought the band down to the station, started shooting. But before they shot, without Marky, the band went to George and said, look, stick Marky in the window over there. And Mark thought it was being singled out as an honor. Oh wow, I'm being featured in the album cover here. Little did he know he was about to be kicked out of the band. Unfortunately, Marky became a really extreme alcoholic, one time, Dee Dee went into the bathroom and found a hidden bottle of vodka in a garbage can. And other times we were driving to some venue that had to stop, and he would pull over and Mark would have to throw up. He was drinking way too much. Also, one time we were playing Columbus, Ohio, a day off to play Virginia Beach. Mark said, oh, I'll stay here, have some friends, don't worry. We get to Virginia Beach, which is about 437 miles away. We set up. Mark's nowhere around. He partied too much the night before, missed his ride, and couldn't make the show. It was the only time the Ramones actually, we were there at the show. The crowd was in the show. We had to cancel the show. It was horrible. So, in the late 1983, Marky asked to leave the band, and because of the alcoholic abuse, and they started looking for other drummers. And along comes Richie Reinhardt, Richie Bowe, Richie Ramone. Now, Richie played with the Velveteens and the Shirts, and he went out with a singer from the Shirts and the Bowe. He was recommended by a drum tech, Larry, and he fit in pretty well. It took a little time to get the groove. He was a really great drummer. So he joins the band. Too high. Produced by T. Hurley and the great Ed Stasium. And what the band wanted here was the cover to look like something from Clockwork Orange, where in the movie they're in a tunnel and about to kick some bums. Also on this album is Durango 95, which I told you is a car from Clockwork Orange. This is the second album cover done by George DuBose. So he found a tunnel in Central Park called the Playmates Arch Tunnel. Now George would first shoot Polaroids and then film. Now for the initial shot, he had front and back lighting. Just by accident, the front lights didn't go off. And they got this great iconic silhouette shot. It's terrific. The band saw it and said, this is great, we're using it. Now Richie, this was Richie's first album. He sees it and says, on the album, my face is not even being shown. He's got upset about the whole thing. I believe that's why he's kind of standing a little bit differently than the Ramones over there. On the side there like that. Okay. Something to believe in. For John Beauvoir. He was into Asthmatics and Crown of Thorns. He took Joey up to Polar Studios, ABBA Studios, in Sweden in the middle of winter. Boy, it was cold up there for that. But it's nice working in ABBA Studios. This is the third album cover done by George DeBose. What George originally wanted to do was shoot the band at the Bronx Zoo Monkey House. But the zoo said, no way you're going to do this, forget about it. So he builds this cage in the studio, and he actually hired Zippy the Chimp from the David Letterman show. Zippy did the monkey cam. You can't really see it very well, it's a little hard. Richie's actually holding Zippy the Chimp. And there's the gorilla in the background, actually, the person that is Legacy McNeil from Punk magazine. This album's produced by Danny Ray and the Ramones. It's the only album that the Ramones were credited for co-production on the album. Produced by Danny Ray. He was in Shrapnel and Dave Windorf's Not So Magnet. Previously, he wrote some songs for the Ramones, co-wrote songs. This is the fourth album covered by George DeBose, shot in Chinatown, in the doorway in Chinatown. Now, the No Malice thing here, I'll bring back us for the video I Want to Live, which is a little bit later with the song I Want to Live. Here's what the Ramones did. They put No Melnick up on Times Square for the video. They actually paid to have it put up on the building. That's the building that the ball drops down, so that's another No Melnick story for you. Okay, now, August 12th, 1987, we're playing a small club in East Hampton, Long Island. Right after the show, Richie jumps off stage, goes to the back dressing room. The dressing room opened up to the parking lot. There's a limo in the parking lot. He goes out back there and jumps in the limo and leaves the group. Quits the group initially. He just leaves the band. Why? Well, basically, he wasn't happy with the merchandising money. He wasn't getting enough merchandising money. He was arguing with John, and he thought initially he was going to be fired from the band. So he decides to quit the band. And we had some very important shows coming up. So we tried to we'll pay a certain amount of money for each show. He just refused to have anything to do with the Ramones and just quit right away. Boom. And at that time, Blondie wasn't working, they were all doing. And Gary Kerfus was managing Blondie. So he goes to Clem Burke. Gary says to Clem, don't worry about it. It's easy playing with the Ramones. It's easy, no problem. It's not easy playing with the Ramones. It's very hard. You have to be tight. Any little glitch would be noticed. There's a famous line by Joe Strummer, you couldn't put a cigarette paper between the end of one song and the beginning of the next. So, Clem, he really was very good friends of the band and stuff. He joins the group. But he didn't have enough time really to work with the band, unfortunately. He's a great drummer, but like with Marky, working with Tommy for a couple of weeks, he got the specific Ramones drum style. So unfortunately, Clem only played 2 shows with the band at the Living Room and the City Gardens. I think he probably made a lot more money with Blondie over the years. So Marky had made an incredible recovery with AA over the years, and I went to see Mark play with a band called King Flux, which is Richie Stotts' band. Really did a great job, looked terrific. I went back to the band, and they said, okay, here we go, Marky's back. So we have Marky Ramone Part 2. Pet Sematary, a great song from the movie. I took this photo, by the way, of the Ramones backstage. When Mark first came back, I wanted to take some pictures of him. Taken at the chance at Poughkeepsie, New York. Now, Stephen King was a big Ramones fan. He had mentioned the Ramones in several of his books. So he brought the band up to Bangor, Maine to play this big civic auditorium up there. And headlining the show is Cheap Trick. But after the show, he invites the Ramones back to dinner and back to his big Victorian house up in Bangor, Maine. Not Cheap Trick, boy, they were pissed off about that. Yeah. Now, King said to the band that he loved to write, listening to loud and fast music all the time. That's why he loved the Ramones. And he hands the book to the Ramones and said, "Why don't you write the song?" And they eventually wrote the great song "Pet Cemetery." Now, this is another cover picked by Gary Kurfürst, who bought the artwork for him. Now, I'm just going to play a clip, a clip from the Pet Cemetery. I want you to look in the background, try to look at some of the tombstones in the background. In case you missed it, in the background there, the Melnick tombstone. We'll have to get meeting these things here. This is a great. It was filmed at Sleepy Hollow Cemetery, Bel-Air in Tarrytown, New York, where Washington Irving was buried, and he wrote the Headless Horseman. It was very cold that night, and you could see the breath of people, and of course, had famous people like Debbie Harry and Chris Stein and Cheetah Cone. A number of other people were in this video. Now, along comes Dee Dee King. Now, this time, Dee Dee wanted to get into rap. He wanted to be a rap artist. So the band figured, do your solo albums, fine, get out of your system, and, still be in the Ramones and stuff. So along comes Dee Dee King. Now, he had a really short career as a rapper. Actually, one time we were flying up to D.C. and he shows up at the airport with a jumpsuit and gold chains. And John said, "Forget about it, you're in the Ramones, you just can't do that." But at this time, he was getting tired. He said he was tired of being the Ramones army. He wasn't fully there at all the shows. He was slacking off. So Dee Dee decides to leave the band. And now, at that time, everybody thought this is the end. This is the end of the Ramones. Dee Dee's the main songwriter and terrific punk rocker and all that. But I really thought that was the end of the Ramones at the time. But Johnny said, no. We'll get a new bass player. So they auditioned about 20 bass players for the job. And actually, the first bass player was CJ. He was the first one to audition out of 20 people. And Johnny saw something in CJ. And so he asked him to join the group. And at that time, CJ was in the Marines, but he was AWOL from the Marines, and he was put in a brig, and he said to John, I'm in the brig, I'll be here for like 2 or 3 weeks. John said, "Don't worry, when you come out, you're in the group." And although Dee Dee had left the band, he continued writing songs for the band, but they had the young CJ in the band, which gave them a number of years. The young guy, they had to kind of suck their stomachs in to keep up with him, and they actually called him Baby Ramone. And the album that CJ's on, I took that picture, by the way. Mondo Bizarro, touring. I'll tell you, touring is never boring. Take it from me. Produced by the station at the Magic Shop. This is the 4th album cover of Extra Vegetables, done with a Mylar mirror to get that crazy reflection. Now, on this album, there's the cover song, Doors cover song, Take It As It Comes. We played the LA Palladium, And coming on stage is Robbie Krieger. He actually came on stage and played with the band for that song. It was terrific. Moving on. Johnny was Send It to Your Mind by Dukes. This is all cover songs, like 60s and 70s psychedelic songs, all picked by the Ramones, produced by Scott Hackworth, who did Circle Jerks and Iggy Pop and stuff like that. Now on the album, Tracy Lords, porn star Tracy Lords, sang background vocals for Somebody You Love, and Pete Townsend actually came in and sang the background vocals for Substitute. It's great. Who connection there. And the last album. Another Crusher, produced by Daniel Ray. This is another cover picked by Gary Kerfrest. Originally, the Dinosaurs were wearing like yellow witch hats or something. Done by Mark Kostabi. Of course, Gary bought the painting later on. Just talk to you a little bit about the back cover. Now, in a firing squad, they don't shoot you in the back for a firing squad. There's a couple of hidden meanings here. At the time, Johnny didn't like the way they were looking. They were getting old, so he told George, "We're going to face away, face backwards here." And I always thought that they were facing away from the music business, leaving. And at that time, Arturo wasn't at this photo session. So George says, "Take off your shirt, put on the hat." That's me at the bottom. I'm the sleeping Mexican there. I always thought this would be the front cover for the album. Okay, Doc, let's get off the album to talk a little bit about Arturo Vega. Arturo Vega was really there from the beginning. He was there at all the showcases. And he literally loved the band. And he started selling t-shirts. I'll talk about the t-shirts in a minute here. And he was a great artist, and he collected art over the years. That's what Richard Hamilton, he collected Andy Warhol and stuff. And he was such a fanatic fan of the Ramones. This is his back tattoo. That's dedication to you. E pluribus unum, out of many one there. Here's my back tattoo. Just kidding. That's another person. Really dedicated to the Ramones. That's dedication for you. Now Arturo, he was a really good artist, and he's a great lighting director and creative artist for the band. And for his lights, he liked to use a lot of red, white, and blue lights, to give that American feel to the band. There's an example of a really terrific lighting director for it. Also, he liked to use a lot of white lights, lights the stark, stripped down playing of the band. And we actually carried some extra white landing lights in case there was not enough lights for Arturo Vega. Let's talk a little bit about the evolution of the Ramones logo here. Now, Arturo growing up in Mexico, there was eagles on the flag, so he always had eagles in the back of his mind. And on the back cover of the first album is a belt buckle. That's Arturo's belt buckle with that early eagle he loved. That's actually on the back cover, not without the hand, but just a belt buckle. It's on the back cover. So one day we were in DC, and Arturo sees this seal, the presidential seal of the United States. Of course, it said E pluribus unum on the bottom. He sees this, and here's what he did with it. He took out the arrows on the left, that's holding on the left side, and put in a baseball bat. Why a baseball bat? Well, it was more American than baseball, basically. And John actually had a big collection of 8x10 signed baseball player photos, one of the biggest in the world. And of course, the song Beat on the Brat, that fit in very well. And if you notice that the shield is Arturo's shirt design. And on the left, the eagle's holding an olive branch, and he changed it to apple branch. And the beautiful part about this is the circumference, the names of the band, but they can plug and play different people that came in and out of the band. It was a great idea. And initially, the eagle's holding the banner, Look Out Below. And later, he changed it to Hey Ho, Let's Go. talked a little bit about backdrops. The Ramones